The doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed for how long.
Despite having access to credit cards, Tiffany Henyard's tenure as mayor of Dalton has been tainted by shocking accusations of wrongdoing and taxpayer fraud. Recent revelations have unveiled evidence of extravagant spending at the town's expense, including a lavish $555,000 party she hosted for the town that featured performances by Wyatt and Jay Holiday, who were paid $30,000 and $20,000 for 3-minute sets, respectively. Even though the event was attended by only about 70 people, the Henyard's administration spent an additional $36,000 on sound equipment, comedians, and even bouncy houses, costing taxpayers $6,600. This extravagant spending has caused widespread outrage among the locals, with former trustee Valor Stubbs denouncing the event as a self-promotional scheme. Jennifer Roberts' outrage at the blatant waste of public funds took a darker turn when Carmen Carlisle, a former ally, the turned whistleblower, exposed crucial evidence of financial mismanagement. Carlisle's testimony, supported by a mountain of receipts, painted an even more dire picture of Henyard's actions, showing how Dalton's money was spent over a 2-year period as a result of her careless financial choices. The town's financial collapse under Henyard's leadership, along with her extravagant lifestyle financed by taxpayer dollars, has sparked ire. She was charged with using public funds to pay for elaborate travel, personal security details, and a lifestyle that looked like that of a Hollywood celebrity. And as Dalton's economy began to decline, the FBI became involved in a thorough investigation into her activities. Federal agents are examining not only her financial transactions, but also her campaign funds, business ventures, and political connections. The investigation has gotten more intense as police have expanded their investigation to include anyone connected to Henyard, because they believe they may have been involved in the alleged corruption, despite the growing pressure on Henyard appears to have been oblivious to the struggles of the very people she was supposed to serve. Activists like Brittany Norwood have expressed their belief that the FBI's intervention, long overdue, is finally addressing the cries for help from the town's residents. The investigation into Henyard's alleged corruption became even more complex when Carlisle, the key residents of Dalton, who had previously been unaware of the extent of the financial mismanagement, were now forced to confront the grim reality that many of the people they trusted may have. The whistleblower's shocking first-hand account of Henyard's misconduct, according to Carlisle, revealed that the mayor's extravagant spending and manipulation of public funds over the last 2 years had left Dalton in a dire financial state. Federal agents were able to piece together the information and discover a massive web of corruption connecting Henyard and several of her political allies. When she willingly turned herself in to federal authorities, her downfall took a drastic turn. For months, Henyard had maintained a glamorous image, seemingly unconcerned with the growing scandal. But now that she was in federal custody, legal experts speculate that her decision to surrender might have been part of a plan to negotiate a more lenient sentence by providing information about other people involved in the. Henyard's surrender has given residents of Dalton hope that justice may finally be served, but it has also served as a harsh reminder of how the town's financial mismanagement spiraled out of control. If the alleged scams are true, this would mark a significant shift in the case, as the formerly untouchable Henyard now faces the real possibility of legal consequences. The residents of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of a town that has suffered greatly under her leadership, as the town's financial mismanagement went out of control. The long-term effects of Henyard's actions are still being felt, and the investigation into her financial dealings is far from over. Federal officials are still looking into her spending patterns, her connections to business endeavors, and her influence over Dalton's financial management. As more information becomes available, it is evident that the story of Henyard's rise and fall requires significant efforts to restore its financial health and rebuild the public's confidence. Fall is far from over. The public's demand for justice is still as strong as ever, and many people are holding out hope that the investigation will result in greater accountability within the local government. Despite the difficulties that lie ahead, some residents have begun to think that there might be a way to rebuild the community and restore many people's faith in its leadership. But the damage has already been done, and the road to recovery appears to be lengthy and uncertain. It is unclear whether the Howard's administration scandal will ultimately bring about more accountability about significant changes to Dalton's government, or if they will only be another chapter in the town's turbulent past. The financial mismanagement, extravagant spending, and self-serving behavior under Henyard's leadership have left Dalton in ruins. What once appeared to be a wealthy and powerful mayor's office has now turned into a symbol of corruption and reckless governance. Henyard's fall from grace is a warning about the perils of unbridled power, and the residents of Dalton are left wondering how their once. Even though she was once seen as a successful and powerful leader, reports indicate that Henyard's financial irresponsibility was not a sudden development, but rather the result of years of bad choices and self-interest that finally caught up with her. Her financial mismanagement is now being fully revealed, and one particularly alarming report highlights the severity of her actions. Henyard allegedly spent $440,000 on Amazon in a single day. The town had to hire former Chicago Mayor Lori Leo to help clean up the mess left by the Henyard's administration because of the severity of the financial crisis she oversaw. This unprecedented move highlights how bad Dalton's financial situation had gotten under her leadership. As if things weren't bad enough, the Illinois State Comptroller had to step in and stop Dalton from receiving $135,000 in vital funding. Even after Henyard resigned and turned herself in to federal authorities, the town is still dealing with the fallout from her alleged actions. The situation has gotten even more complicated, with reports of wrongful termination lawsuits being filed against those who questioned Henyard's decisions or resisted her authority. The intervention was a devastating blow to the town, leaving residents without the financial support they so desperately needed. As the investigation progresses, there is hope that some sort of accountability will be achieved, but many residents are still doubtful that true reform will be possible. Henyard's reckless spending and self-serving behavior have left an indelible mark on Dee, and it will take time for the town to recover from the damage done under her administration. This contributes to the ongoing turmoil and frustration among Dalton's residents, many of whom feel betrayed by the very people they elected to serve them. Dalton's hometown, which was once optimistic about a better future under Henyard's leadership, is now struggling to rebuild their community with millions of dollars missing in the town's finances and in ruins. The road to recovery appears long and uncertain. The FBI's investigation may bring some sense of justice, but the wounds caused by Henyard's actions will take much longer to heal. The people of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of their broken community and hope that in time they can rebuild both their finances and their faith in local government, the dangers of unchecked power, and the importance of holding public officials accountable for their actions. Tiffany Henyard's resignation as mayor of Dalton has done little to ease the overwhelming sense of crisis that still hangs over the town, and her administration has been further plagued by financial mismanagement. The administration has made counter-accusations against others in an effort to shift the blame, but this hasn't done much to calm the growing outrage among residents. The community's deep dissatisfaction has only been heightened by these new revelations that paint a darker picture of Henyard's time in office. Furthermore, the ethical and legal turmoil surrounding her has been further exacerbated by disturbing allegations of abuse, corruption, and even sexual misconduct. Henyard is accused of fostering a toxic and authoritarian leadership style that has left Dalton in a state of dysfunction that many have described as hostile and intimidating. The town's administration was characterized by a climate of fear due to Henyard's leadership style, which has led to numerous lawsuits, public condemnations, and now criminal charges, painting a bleak picture of Mayo. Office run by an abusive and corrupt leader beyond financial corruption. Alarming allegations of sexual impropriety have surfaced during official city visits, along with allegations of sexual assault and intimidation against employees who dared to challenge her authority of Surfac. These new revelations have shattered her once polished public image, replacing it with one of exploitation, corruption, and abuse of power for the sake of the people of Henyard's already tarnished legacy. Her arrest represents the long-awaited arrival of justice for a community that has endured years of neglect, financial ruin, and exploitation. But while her surrender marks a significant step in holding Henyard accountable, it also raises many unanswered questions. Some believe her decision to turn herself in was part of a calculated strategy to manipulate the legal system in her favor. As a result, the sight of Henyard in handcuffs has been a moment of vindication. Although there are growing criminal charges against the power dynamics at play, Hannon's lengthy tenure as mayor has left many residents wondering if true justice will ever be served. With the web of corruption extending so deeply within the local government, there is growing doubt about whether she will negotiate a favorable settlement or protect others involved in her alleged corruption. These suspicions have only increased concerns about the integrity of the legal process and the influence that Henyard may still exert despite the charges. Face the full repercussions of her actions. The community, which has been deceived by the very leader they once trusted, is left to deal with the long-term effects of her actions while demanding transparency and fairness as the legal proceedings continue. Henyard's surrender has not immediately brought about the sense of closure that many residents had hoped for, and her continued defiance and apparent unwillingness to resign as mayor have only increased suspicions that she may still be attempting to manipulate the system. There is a collective sense of resolve that the road to rehabilitation will not be quick or easy, despite the overwhelming psychological toll of her alleged misconduct, the financial devastation left in her wake, and the lengthy and difficult road to recovery. However, the residents of Dalton are resolute in their determination to reclaim their town and rebuild from the corruption, financial devastation, and abuse of power that defined our tenure, despite mounting legal challenges. However, it's evident that the community is dedicated to fighting the corruption that Henyard left behind. The financial ruin brought about by Henyard's extravagant spending has left Dalton in dire straits, and the task of unraveling the web of corruption will require a significant commitment to accountability and reform in local governance going forward. The people of Dalton must make sure that future leaders are held to higher standards of integrity and transparency. This is not just about making reform promises, but about taking tangible actions that. The town is currently at a critical crossroads, and the lessons learned from Henyard's downfall must be used to build a more responsible and accountable administration that actively works to restore trust in local governance. Although Henyard's arrest and public disgrace have not immediately solved the town's long-standing problems, they have provided much-needed opportunity for Dalton's residents to heal and rebuild the town after it was engulfed in scandal, and the road ahead will undoubtedly be difficult, but the scars left by Henyard's leadership will serve as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance, accountability, and the necessity of demanding ethical conduct from those in power. Whether Dalton can fully recover from this crisis depends largely on the resilience of its people. They must be unwavering in their resolve to restore the integrity of their community, fight for true reform, and hold their leaders accountable. While the legal proceedings against Henyard are still ongoing, the information that has surfaced so far paints a damning picture of her time in office. The full scope of her financial and personal actions is still being uncovered, but for the time being, it is evident that the people of Dalton are prepared to take back their future and start the difficult process of reconstructing the community they once loved. They hope that a new Star for Dalton will be built on accountability and collective responsibility. In addition to marking the end of an era marked by corruption, financial mismanagement, and abuse of power, the town's resolve to rebuild from the ashes of the scandal can shape its future, but only if the citizens are still dedicated to justice and reform. The lessons learned from Henyard's rule must be applied to create a government that truly serves the people rather than taking advantage of it. As they try to move forward, they must face the weight of the financial ruin, emotional trauma, and widespread corruption that our tenure left behind. Many people question whether Dalton can take advantage of this moment of reckoning and turn it into an opportunity for meaningful change. For years, the town was bogged down in scandal after scandal, with residents struggling to cope with the fallout from Henyard leadership. The town may never completely overcome the scars left by Henyard's rule, but they will serve as a potent reminder of the significance of accountability, oversight, and the need for moral leadership. As Dalton moves forward, it is imperative that the town remain vigilant, committed to justice, and dedicated to building a future based on honesty and integrity. The Henyard scandal has revealed the extent of corruption in the local government, but it has also ignited a collective desire for change. The lessons learned from this traumatic chapter in Dalton's history must pave the way for a brighter, more transparent future. Even though the legal proceedings are far from over and Dalton is getting closer to learning the whole truth about Henyard, the town's recovery will be a long and challenging one. The town is getting closer to regaining its future, along with the opportunity to repair its reputation and make sure that no future administration can take advantage of its citizens the way Henyard did. The road ahead will be difficult, but the tenacity of Dalton residents and their unwavering commitment to rebuilding their community will ultimately determine the town's fate. Although the road ahead will be lengthy, the people of Dalton are prepared to rise from the ashes of scandal and forge a stronger, more transparent future for everybody. As the town progresses, one thing is certain: the dissolution of a corrupt leader signifies the beginning of reclaiming Dalton's promise, making sure that the mistakes of the past are not repeated, and reestablishing a government that works for the people. To take advantage of their confidence,